Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is almost 1 o'clock here and I'm still drinking coffee because that's what we do in quarantine. What is time? So I just want to take the time today to talk to you guys about hair. I do want to start getting into some more educational standpoint videos. I would say all of my information that I'm going to be presenting to you today came from the Milady Cosmetology textbook that is generally used internationally, might even be worldwide, I'm not sure. But all this information did come from Milady. I am wearing a Supercut shirt just because I think I look very sharp in this shirt. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. But I do want to go ahead and make a disclaimer that today's video does not reflect the ideology or the policy and procedure of my employer. This is all my own will. None of this is paid. This is just me giving an education to you. So with that being started, we're going to start out today with two questions. I'm going to ask you guys two questions, and I want you to think about this, and I want it to resonate in your mind. What is hair? What is it? You know, what are these little strings? What are all these little lines that are coming out of our head? And, you know, if you have a men's cut that's a lot shorter, you know, what they're coming straight out of your head. If you have longer hair like mine, it's coming out and down. What are these little strings? What are they made of? What are they there for? Not really what are they there for, but what are they made of? What can we do to change them? How do you perceive hair? Is it just hair? Because I have had people in the past make that remark to me, not only in the salon, but within a personal atmosphere as well. But, you know, is it just hair? So I put together a diagram for you guys today. I have a lot of little notes. I know you can't really read them right now, but I am going to use this as a visual. I have a couple different visuals throughout today's presentation. So we're going to start out. This right here, this big circle, is essentially, if you were to take a piece of hair and cut it in half and look at it through a microscope dead on, this is essentially something you would see. You would see this kind of shape. So right along the outer edge, I know I'm not Picasso, but it looks, see that little external circle, and it says cuticle right there. So every strand of hair has 3 layers. You have the cuticle. We're gonna start that back over. What is hair? Actually, is it just hair? So you have the cuticle on the outside. That's the top layer of every strand of hair. Excuse me. All this vaping dries out my throat. I don't have the corona, I promise. Anyway, so underneath the cuticle, which is considered the scaly layer, and I'm going to go into why in just a moment, you have the cortex. The cortex contains a lot of things. The cortex usually contains your melanin, whether it's VO or U. We'll go into that in just a moment on one of the next diagrams. It has disulfide bonds, salt bonds, and hydrogen bonds. And hair also contains keratin protein. So, to read you some of my notes that are on here. So we have the cuticle, which is the outer layer of the hair. That is a scaly layer because there's scales running all down the hair, which can be lifted or closed with certain things. We'll go into more of that in the chemical texture video, which I'll probably end up working on creating some of the content today, as well as the color video, because both of those, chemical texture and color, really have a high impact on that cuticle. Believe it or not, the cuticle it's the thinnest layer, but to me, this is the layer of the hair that holds everything together. If you don't have that cuticle layer, your hair has a chance of breaking and has, you know, it's going to be more porous if that cuticle is left open. So that leaves more room for more damage to occur. So then you have your cortex, which contains all the things that we just talked about. Then you have your medulla in the center. See that? I put a little question mark on there because even in our Milady textbook, it says that nobody knows what the medulla is for. So Your proteins in your hair, which are made of keratin, are actually made up of long chains of amino acids, which when those chains line up and turn into a very spiral shape, they become a polypeptide bond. You have so many of those in your hair. Those chains are composed of side bonds, disulfide bonds, or side bonds, which are disulfide bonds, salt bonds, and hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds are broken by water or heat. So anytime you wash your hair, you're actually breaking a hydrogen bond, which, don't worry, anytime it dries, it automatically restructures itself. And then heat, styling, blow drying, anything like that. Which is why it is very important to use a heat protectant on your hair, so that way you don't provide too much excessive damage on these bonds. Because yes, 9 times out of 10, this bond is going to reconstruct itself and it is going to be better for the hair. But excessive heat, excessive damage to that bond, especially in intense form, whenever you have that hair dryer all the way up and you're working on that one section, working on it, which I know 9 times out of 10 stylists were going to work that section out. But that's why, as a stylist, and that's why it's so important to listen to your cosmetologist, listen to your stylist. When they're making a product recommendation to you, they're not just trying to sell you a product. Me as a stylist, I don't want to sell you something. I want you to walk out of that door with a product that's going to be good for your hair. And it's going to provide the protection for your hair and the nourishment that your hair needs. That's why I say, why? Is it just hair? Look at all this. And there's so much more. Anyway, disulfide bonds are only broken by perms or relaxers, which we'll go more into that and how the breaking of the bonds and the restructuring of the bonds occurs during a perm and a relaxer, and what a relaxer actually turns that disulfide bond into. Salt bonds are broken by alkaline or acidic solutions. So pretty much the same as the disulfide bonds. So disulfide bonds are the strongest bond in the hair. Disulfide bonds join the sulfur atoms of 2 neighboring cysteines to create one. Although there are far less disulfide bonds than hydrogen and salt bonds, disulfide bonds make up for about 1/3 of the hair's strength. So for those of you that don't know about the pH scale, I'm sure most of you who are probably tuning into my videos have already made it through a chemistry portion, whether it was high school, you might have forgotten about it, or whether it's the chemistry chapter in the Milady textbook during your cosmetology course. So the natural pH scale, it ranges on a scale of 0 to 14, with 7 being a neutral position on the scale. Anything below 7 is acidic, and anything above 7 is alkaline. So how that plays into hair is hair has a natural pH of 4.5 to 5.5. So that means that your hair is naturally acidic. With your hair having a natural pH of 4.5 to 5.5, that's going to help keep that cuticle closed. And with your cuticle closed, it's going to be able to protect your disulfide bonds, your hydrogen bonds, and your salt bonds, as well as your proteins. Alkaline solutions, so anything higher than a 7 will actually lift that cuticle. And if you don't have something that is going to close that cuticle back down, then that's going to leave your hair too much room open to be damaged. So let's say, I'm going to kind of jump into this a little bit, but we'll go more in depth with it soon within the color video. If you are coloring somebody's hair, that developer from that color has ammonia in it. So that ammonia is an alkaline solution, and that ammonia is going to lift that cuticle up. So once you shampoo that hair down and you shampoo that color out of that hair, for instance, we at my job, we use Paul Mitchell Color. Paul Mitchell Color actually calls for the use of Paul Mitchell Post Color shampoo, because the Post Color shampoo helps remove the residues, the excess residues from the hair, from the inside of the hair as well. So that way you can see the true color, and then you condition with a Daily Color shampoo or Daily Color conditioner. And both of those paired together are going to help restore the hair back down to its natural pH. So when you put that ammonia in there, I wish we were doing a color video right now so I could go more in depth with it. I'm going to give y'all a little bit of information, but we're really going to have fun in that color video. So once you put that color on the hair, the ammonia immediately goes to the cuticle and lifts that scale up. So let's say this is the hair and my middle finger is one of the cuticle scales. So the ammonia is on the color, or the ammonia is on the, Jesus Lord. The hair color that has the ammonia in it is in the hair. The ammonia then lifts the cuticle up and helps oxidize. So that way, these are little color pigment molecules from the artificial color. The ammonia is going to lift this up, lift the natural pigment out. However many levels is dependent on your developer, which, like I said, we'll go over more of that in the video. And then it's going to deposit the new color chemical. So you need your full processing time for all of this to happen efficiently. And then whenever you shampoo it, it takes all that residue out and closes that cuticle back down. So that is why acidity plays such a big role. The pH scale has played such a big role in hair. So moving on, referring to melanin. I'm sure you've heard of it. In the hair, there are two types of melanin. I'm not sure if you can read this. My handwriting is awful, but if you can, go for it. Eumelanin produces black and brown pigments in the hair. So somebody with naturally dark hair or naturally brown hair, like those gorgeous auburn brunettes. Coffee with Nikki, that's what we're going to call this. That hair has eumelanin in it. And one of the biggest correlations for me whenever I was in school that helped me remember what eumelanin produces and what pheomelanin produces is the fact that eumelanin starts with an E. Ebony starts with an E. Ebony translates into black. Ebony means black. So eumelanin, black and brown, and then pheomelanin produces blonde and red pigments. My beauty school teacher, Mrs. K, some of you may know her. She's an awesome lady. She always said she remembered it because pheomelanin, phenomenal. Blonde hair, phenomenal. So whatever floats your boat, however you can remember it. Those are the two main ones. Eumelanin, black and brown. Pheomelanin, blonde and red. So now we're going to get into talking about wave pattern and texture. I don't want you guys to look at anything down here right now. Just focus on the top because this kind of correlates in with the melanin. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. We'll probably end up flipping back. But you have straight hair. These are the three different wave patterns, 3 to 4. You have straight hair, which generally has a round cross section. 9 times out of 10, you're going to find a round cross section with straight hair. Then you have wavy or curly hair. I have wavy hair, which is going to be more oval to round in cross section. And then you have super curly hair, which is those little ringlets. And you have more of a oval cross section with that hair. So, fun fact about curly hair. Whereas straight hair, your scalp, you have your glands within your skin that produce the natural oils and sebums. With straight hair, it's no problem whenever you brush your hair through that oil is going to distribute as far down as possible. With wavy or curly hair, it's a little bit less, maybe not so far, but with curly hair, curly hair, it's really hard with all the twists and turns within that hair for the hair to actually naturally distribute, or the oils to distribute all the way down the hair. That's why if you have curly or wavy to curly hair, it's more important to have a shampoo with little to no lather, and definitely no sulfates, no parabens. None of you should be using shampoo with sulfate in it anyway. I don't care who you are. We're not doing that. We don't like sulfates. It's not good for the hair. It's very drying for the hair. But shampoos with a lot of lather, whenever it's rinsed through the hair, it's going to strip all that oil out as it goes down. The hair already has a hard enough time getting that oil down there, so it's going to strip it out. So that's why it's very good to invest in a good shampoo and conditioner like Diva Curl if you have curly hair, which we'll go more into that in our product video that's going to be coming up soon. And then hair texture, you have fine hair texture, which is a little bit smaller of a circle. You have medium hair texture, which is a little bit larger. And then you have coarse, which is the largest. Fine generally lays flat. It's very thin, very soft. Medium has a little bit of volume, you know, generally lays kind of flat. And then coarse hair. That's the thickest, that's the toughest, that's the hardest. Now, just because you have coarse hair does not mean you need to turn your blow dryer, or not your blow dryer, your flat iron all the way up. Just because you do does not mean that you have to. And you know, we're going to go over this a little bit in the myths and facts section, so I'm going to hold off on that comment. But the reason I wanted to tell you to hold off on waiting and looking at what was in the circles is, pretend these little dots are melanin. So pretend you're looking at a hair strand and you're thinking of, let's say, eumelanin. So, or let's say it's like a dirty blonde. So somebody with finer hair, each of these circles has 25 dots in it with the same pencil, same degree. It was just dot, 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 dot. If you look at the fine, you can see a lot of color. See, it starts to spread out a little bit more, it looks a little lighter. And then boom, coarse hair looks a little lighter. So the finer hair texture, the actual diameter of that hair strand is going to be very small. So all your melanin is going to be very compact, so it's going to look much darker. Medium's kind of in between, so that's like your really fun range. You can really do whatever you want with it. And then coarse hair is more spread out, so it's going to look a lot lighter. So this definitely plays a role in your color formulation. We're going to get more into that in the color video as well, but I just want you guys to take notes of this. That way, when we do get into those other videos, you're always more than welcome to refer back to this video. But this is my introduction to hair. This is my, what is hair? Is it just hair, or am I crazy? I mean, I love hair. It's like my crack. It's my favorite thing to do, is do hair. But I just want you guys to learn and fully understand what you're going to be walking into, because let me tell y'all, if y'all have been to a Hanzo class during this quarantine, you've probably heard it a million times. I'm going to say it now, but when we get back, it's going to be busier than we have ever seen. I mean, like, the holidays put together for 5 years in a row ain't going to have shit on what we about to walk into, because you're going to have all these people like me who got these busted roots, who try to do these at-home colors or at-home chemicals, and you know, it's just gonna be crazy. And hey, I'm here for it. We all finna make some good money, but just take the time, take this downtime to grow. It's really important right now. It really is. But I'm telling you guys, and then I'm definitely going to be making more educational videos. I'm going to get out my chapter book. I've already got it out in the living room. That's where I got all this information from, was my Milady textbook. I do have a online licensing prep that is good until October of this year. I'm going to go into my account and see if I can structure it to be like a generic email address and a generic password, and make sure none of my personal information is on there. That way I can provide it to you guys for free, everyone. I don't care who wants to use it. I used it. I passed my state boards. I'm, you know, an awesome ass stylist, not to toot my own horn, but it works. It's great. It's awesome. And if I can provide it to you guys, I gladly will. Anyways, so now we're going to get into the phases of hair growth. If you could remember this, you will remember the 3 stages in order. ACT. Because you have the anagen phase, which is the active growing phase. You have the catagen phase, which is the transition phase. And then you have the telogen phase, which is the final phase. So just think about it this way. ACT, because you're going to start growing. And then when you get tired of growing, you're going to slow down for a little bit and transition into resting. So we have the anagen phase, step 1, which is the active growing stage for hair. It generally lasts 3 to 5 years and can last up to 10 years. That's a really long time. And generally 90% of your hair on your head is going to be in this phase at any given time. Then you have the catagen phase, which is the transition phase, where hair begins to transition into the dormant phase during the stage During this stage, the follicle shrinks and detaches from the dermal papillae, which usually lasts about 1 to 2 weeks. So the middle phase is very quick. Just remember, guys, act. You are actively growing, you're transitioning, and then you're resting. And then you finally have your telogen phase, which is your final or resting phase. The hair is either shed during this phase or it remains in place until the next anagen phase, which can last up to 4 to 5 years. So, you know, a lot of times we refer to thinning hair as hair loss. We should really start calling it hair fall, because it's not necessarily that you're losing hair, it's that you have the telogen phase of hair where the hair is done growing. It's either going to go away, it's either going to go ahead and fall out, or you're going to have a new piece of hair that's going to grow through and push that out. I don't think I'm going to do a whole video on hair loss, but I do want to do a video on scalp disorders and hair disorders. So then we'll go into the different subsections of alopecia and then hair fall, and then the different products that you can use to help with those. So finally, we have our myths and facts. I don't think I have anything else. Nope, I don't have anything else I've planned education-wise after this. So myths and facts. The first myth is cutting hair makes it grow back faster, darker, and coarser. 9 times out of 10, people are going to refer to that mostly when you're shaving or when you're clipping someone's head. A lot of times you hear people say, oh, cut off the dead ends, it'll make your hair grow faster. Well, let me tell y'all, that's a myth. That's not true. Don't believe it. It's just not true. Flat out not true. It's a myth. The fact is, cutting for hair has no effect on hair growth. Another myth, scalp massages increase hair growth. While yes, scalp massages do feel nice, that is not true. Scalp massages do not affect hair growth, but are essential to scalp health. 2 things that make a happy scalp: cleanliness and stimulation. Where are we? Another myth, gray hair is coarser and more resistant. Other than the lack of pigment, gray hair is no different than pigmented hair. Resistance is not due to it being gray. While we do know that there is some resistant gray hair, it's not due to the fact that it's gray. That's just a fact. Like I said before, it came from a lady. And then also we have another myth. It is curl pattern is determined by race. Fact. Curls don't discriminate. That is just the simplest way I can put that. As you see, I have wavy hair. My husband has very curly hair. We're both white. You know, hair does not discriminate, and neither should you. If you feel like you don't know enough about curly hair, then that's up to you to take on that education to learn it. It's up to you to look online for those classes. Reach out to other stylists on Facebook, on social media. I mean, come on, guys. We live in a world where you can connect to anybody. And there's so much education out there. There's so many different opportunities. Hello, Katie. This is Alice. Alice, Katie. Come here, Lala. Lala. Come here, Lala. Lala's not having it today. I did want to show y'all because I do think it's really cool that me and Presley Poe both have a calico cat named Lala. Come here. Oh, here she comes. Come here, baby girl. This is my Lala. She doesn't like to be held that much, but she's very sweet. Anyway. Forgot what we were talking about. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so it's up to you to get that education. And, you know, right now, everybody has downtime. And this is something I kind of wanted to, I mentioned in my last video that we were going to talk about in my next one, was that there's something for everybody right now. If you're in the hair industry, I will drop down below in the description a link. There's a Google Doc spreadsheet that has an entire list of brands that are doing free certification. I got DevaCurl. I am a DevaCurl product professional. Certified. I am certified with Pravana Color. I am certified with Olaplex, which is phenomenal. If you know what Olaplex is, if you don't, you need to find out. What else did I get certified with? Barbicide. I got certified with Barbicide, so I know the proper sanitation steps to make sure you guys have a very clean experience in my store and in my chair. So, you know, Hanzo has free classes. Like, it's ridiculous. Instagram Live, there's so many different companies that are going live on Instagram and on Facebook. That way you can just drop in the comment if you have a question, they'll answer you. Hanzo's doing Zoom classes, which are pretty great. I freaking love them. I've taken like 4,500 classes with Presley Poe and like 7 million other classes with Hanzo Online by this far. I wish I had my little notebook in here. I would show y'all all the notes that I've been taking. Hanzo is a phenomenal brand. They're offering wonderful classes right now. And, you know, I just love it. I think it's great that they're giving back to the community right now. I actually just had one of their educators, she subscribed to my channel because, you know what? It is so important to be supportive in this industry. So this is going to be, I'm going to just take a couple minutes to give some advice to new stylist, just a little bit of advice. I might make a whole nother video on, you know, good helpful tips whenever you finish school, but look for an environment that you're going to be able to grow in. Look for an environment that is going to give you the tools that it takes to be successful by training you. Look for an environment that education is a priority. Look for an environment that every day they're trying to teach you something. And if you don't have that, you're not going to be able to grow, because I've always been told any hairstylist that says, oh, I've learned it all, I don't need to go any more classes, I know what I'm doing, they become extinct. And that's not okay. We all are in this industry together. You need to look at your other stylists as your inspiration and your coworkers and your team. Because it's not about me, it's about us. Because we are in this to make the world a beautiful place. So I think that's going to conclude my what's going on with hair video. Actually, real quick, I know I did make a comment yesterday on my video about there is something for everybody. If you're not in this industry and you know you can't take advantage of the education that I'm offering on my channel or my Instagram, or you can't take the advantage of the education that Hanzo's offering, Pravana, and all those other beauty industry classes, take the time to think about yourself. Take the time to evaluate your life. I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm not jabbing at anybody. Take the time to evaluate your life. Look around you. What are you doing for work? What do you do for fun? What are you doing right now? Are you content with it? Do you think you can do better? Do you want to do better? Evaluate your life. And you know what? If you're completely content with what you're doing because you know you're doing the right thing, you know you're trying to do better every day, you're validating your time. You're validating your time. So that's something to come out of this with. It is so important, and I just cannot encourage it enough. I want to thank you guys for checking out my video today. I look forward to making more. I'm about to go and start working on some other stuff. I think I'm going to keep it kind of simple with y'all. I might lump a few chapters in together, like infection control is a really important chapter, but I don't think I need to spend an entire 30-minute video on it. So I'll probably end up doing something along the lines of like, we'll go ahead and do infection control as well as scalp disorders and diseases, along with the hair disorders and diseases, and then like bundle those little things in together. That way I'm not just making all these different videos for you to watch. I want you to be able to get as much education as you can off of me. I'm here to help you guys. If you follow me on Instagram, great. Reach out to me if you have any questions. If you have my number, reach out to me. Facebook, reach out to me, guys. You know, I'm here to help. I want y'all to learn. I want y'all to be successful. I know I'm pretty new to this industry, but I have a lot to offer. I've learned a lot in a short amount of time. And, you know, hey, I'm here. So I'm gonna drop my Instagram below. I'm gonna drop the list of classes, and then I'll go ahead and drop Hanzo's link for their classes. And I think that's it. And then I will definitely either update on social media or update in my next video what I ended up concluding with the Milady login. Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon.